the Toastmasters role.
Got it.
Good morning. Well, welcome to Wake Up with Toastmasters. I am Jennifer Smith, and my co-host and partner in crime here, Jean Dunford.
Good morning, everybody.
How are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm having computer problems from the left and the right, but I've got on so far.
Well, that's good. So funny that how you guys have computer problems. So must be those interns that are messing with your computer.
I think the dogs messed me up.
Well, today I figured that I would want to talk about the Toastmasters role. We always talk about, the area director, the leadership, and we actually have meetings. And so I thought maybe we would talk about what goes on in our meetings. I don't think we've talked about that in a while.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So my home club at Valley Voices and Vices, I am the Toastmaster this week, and we have to come up with themes. And I belong to now 3 Toastmasters clubs. Oh my gosh.
It's addictive. I tell you, it is addictive.
It is very addicting. And but one of the clubs that I also belong to is Toastmasters in the Kitchen. Mm-hmm. And I figured I would make a dessert. So whether it's a strawberry dessert or a peach dessert, it's a summer dessert because those are the fruits that are popular in the summer. And so my theme, so then I don't have to think too much because of my 2 Toastmasters clubs, I will combine them, my theme together. And so I don't have to do too much work. So that's a good thing about having these different clubs, is that if you're doing one role, maybe you sign up to do the same role the same week, right?
Sure. Sign up to do word of the day for 5 clubs, so they all get the same word.
Yeah, they all get the same word. Use your time efficiently. So, and that's what I did. So my thinking then is for Wake Up with Toastmasters is to go through the Toastmasters, which I did not go on the website, but I will go on and talk about the role of a Toastmaster and what happens during that presentation. I won't be like Ken and do a PowerPoint, but another big thing about Toastmasters is that we make things easy. We don't want to make things hard because of the fact that we are busy. We do have other things to do in our lives. Why not have the resources at the tip of our fingers, right? Fingers online. So when you are a Toastmaster, number one, as a member, at number one, you have a mentor, and the mentor will guide you through the steps of what you have to do. So when you're finally Toastmasters and the Toastmaster, and I will tell you what, when I first became a member with Valley Voices and Vices, I was ready to be a Toastmaster, I think the 3rd week. I'm like, when can I be Toastmaster? I don't care about all those grammarian roles and GE and evaluation. I want to be Toastmaster. So I wasn't afraid of being that, but some people need that mentorship and that guidance to be a Toastmaster. So what will happen is that the Toastmaster is responsible for the meeting, just like when you are responsible for a committee chair, or if you're a president, CEO, when you sit down in front of your employees or your members, first thing you're going to do is have an agenda, right, Jean?
Right. That way everybody knows.
What you're going to do that day.
Yeah, everybody knows what's on the agenda, expects what's going to happen.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that Toastmasters does, is that they will make sure it's structured, that you're in and out in exactly an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours, however long your meetings are. And so the first thing we do in a Toastmasters meeting is either we're going to have a business meeting and announcements, and then we roll into the actual Toastmastering of the day. Right. And it is scheduled. It is time. Valley Voices and Vices, we start at 7:30, we end at 8:30. We have our introductions, we have our business meeting, and by I think it's 8:40, we will have and we cram all of that right in 10 minutes. And at 8:40, we begin our table topics. And well, I might have to skip. We talk about our role, so maybe it's about 8:45 because we do for Marion, and then we do our table topics. So as a Toastmaster, I'm introduced and I say, oh, today's theme is summer desserts. And then I talk a little bit about the fruits and the desserts that are popular. And then I introduce our Minute Master, and then our Minute Master will give us something motivating, a poem, something a little bit more about summer desserts. And then they sit down and then we introduce the word master of the day and or grammarian. And that person will give a word of the day. Etta, if Etta is watching, is my word grammarian this week. And she already has given me the word of the day. I'm going to keep it a secret. But so and I may have to back up a little bit because of the fact that maybe you're wondering, how do we get all these people involved for that meeting? I need to back up a little bit, right? So we have the roles assigned maybe a month ahead, maybe it's a week ahead. And if somebody maybe says, oh, I can't do that role, then we replace that role. And during the week, we have chatter via email or text or WhatsApp app about who's taking the role, what's going on, who's cooking, who's preparing the dish. I'm combining my two clubs. And then when the meeting starts, everybody knows their positions, everybody knows their roles. So now we are back to our word grammarian, and he will give the word of the day. And the word of the day is important because, first of all, it's grammar and word usage. Can you use a word that you normally do not use in a sentence during the day, and how many times do you do it? It's kind of fun because sometimes I pick out words I can't even say. At Toastmasters in the kitchen, I had the word piece de resistance. So I had to say it with my accent, and everyone had to say it. And it's so funny because of all the different ways people say it. It's piece de la resistance or piece resistance, it was really, really funny. And how would you say that word, Jean?
Piece de la resistance.
See, he put a della, but it's piece de resistance.
There you go.
And then we give the definition of the word and how to use it. So all the club members will have to use it during the day, that 1 hour during the day. Then we do our table topics. And our table topics is usually about 15 minutes. And usually it flows into the theme of our meeting. So hopefully our table topics master will have come up with some really, really good questions about summer desserts and what somebody's summer desserts and mishaps. And it's great because of the fact that people give so many different answers to questions that they're not aware of what the questions will be. And it's fun because it also brings back history and memories of our members. And you can tell that when they do get that question, they're excited to tell a story. And it's kind of like a little mini story for 1 to 2 minutes. I think it all depends on which club members or what the clubs have decided, but it's usually between 1 and 2 to 3 minutes. And you get to hear a story, and sometimes you want to hear more. Sometimes I tell people that it's a great speech that has started and that people need to elaborate on their table topics. It's so much fun. Then we get into, all along, the Toastmaster is introducing these roles and introducing the people. I cannot wait till we get back in person, because we actually shake hands and we turn the lectern or the podium over to the person who has that role. It's a nice way of teaching people how to relinquish control of the stage. I just did a conference a couple of weeks ago, and I was emceeing, and I'm up there, but we don't shake hands because nobody has taught anybody how to relinquish that stage presence to the next person. So where are we? Table topics. So we're done with table topics, and then we get into the prepared speeches. And we have an evaluator who will give what the objectives are of the speaker. And that evaluator is going to evaluate the speech. And we have guide, again, remember, said Toastmasters doesn't just say, here, evaluate the speech. We have a form, we have expectations about how to give an evaluation, right? Jean, what's your favorite saying about evaluations?
I have a favorite saying.
You do. Evaluate.
Evaluate to motivate.
To motivate. Yes.
Yeah.
Evaluate to motivate. We evaluate so that we can give somebody some pointers, positive feedback, growth opportunities, and what to do at your next speech, next time you give the speech. So it's a great way to learn on how to give presentations. Sometimes I'm moving in my chair, sometimes I'm moving my hands, sometimes I'm talking fast, and we will get that feedback, how that person, the evaluator, felt. Sometimes we have one speaker, sometimes we have two speakers. So it all depends on what's going on in that meeting that week. Then we actually, like I said, we will evaluate the whole entire meeting. So somebody evaluates how I was a Toastmaster, how the meeting ran, or were we on time, what we could have done better. And then we have what we call the helpers, which are the timers and the evaluators, and the word grammarian will talk about how we did in using the word of the day, and if there's any grammar faux pas of word usage that there should not have been. So sometimes you will hear the sometimes or knows and the rights after sentences. Those are also maybe audible pauses where when you're like, okay, even if you say like, okay, right, those are words that will help you, or the grammarian will help you notice that you say those words a lot so that you do not use those words again. Right. Then the helper, general evaluator has the helpers. Then we give out awards for the best speakers and the best evaluators. And it's not really awards. Maybe there's a ribbon, and maybe there's just, you get to hold the tent card that says your best evaluator. Or Valley Voice and Vices does have little trophies. We have little trophies that we take pictures with. And I cannot wait till we meet in person again. I'm super excited about that.
So are you guys looking at places and venues?
Yeah, but we have a couple of places. So I think we're probably going to start in August. So we do have a couple of places to choose from now. So we're excited. But then after that, the Toastmasters turns control of the meeting back to the presiding officer, which is usually the president or the next person in line. But that is what happens at a Toastmasters meeting. And I know Jean Williams, when she first thought of Wake Up with Toastmasters 2 years ago, that she wanted to have little mini meetings in this half hour. And I thought, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. We invited a club to come, and and then we put on a Toastmaster meeting. And the one day she was late. She had to drop off one of the kids to school, and I was stuck with interviewing the people. And I just said, well, let's just have a conversation. And we just started talking. And how long you been in Toastmasters? Why did you join? And that accident brought the show where we are today.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, but if anybody's ever interested in attending a Toastmasters meeting, which we talk about, and that's why this show is actually here, is to encourage you to attend a Toastmasters meeting. But if anybody is ever wanting to join, or not to join, but to visit a club, make sure you go into, we've talked about the search or find a club, or even come to one of our clubs that we actually are representing. I have, like I said, 3 clubs, but I think the third one is it's an advanced club, so you have to be a member already of Toastmasters.
Another club.
So the 2 clubs, Valley Voices and Vices for Me, which it meets every Friday at 7:30 a.m. Yes, 7:30 a.m. Or Toastmasters in the Kitchen, which meets every Sunday at 4 p.m. And both clubs are online right now. Toastmasters in the Kitchen will always be online. We are an international club, and so it is around the world. And I love that club. I will talk about that club because of the fact that it is international, and then our people that are international will talk about their international dishes and either cooking tips, show their whole cooking demonstration, or even different words that we will hear. We heard shabu shabu on Sunday, which basically to me was pho, but the Japanese call it shabu shabu. So things that you learn, besides learning how to give presentations and learning how leadership, you get to learn different words and different speaking styles and evaluation styles. And then, Jean, where are your clubs and when do they meet?
So I belong to Vegas Stars, meets on Sunday, I think 2 p.m.
Yes.
And then I belong to Sage Leaders, which is a club, a little advanced club for people who are president or officers in clubs up into the district. And then I belong to, I think I belong to 2 other clubs, but if I don't have them written down, I don't know what time they are.
Remember, we'll write you little notes.
Yeah, that's right. Write some notes, because I can't. My memory is gone. So that's.
Mine is gone because of it's early. That's why I'm like, wait, what is that? But
I'll use that excuse too. It's too early to remember all that.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't have my cheat sheet with me.
Yep, we'll have little cheat sheets of what our name is and where are we supposed to be in an hour. But
yeah, I belong
ahead.
to like 4 or 5 clubs and really enjoy going to Toastmasters. I get a lot out of it. Most of my friends are Toastmasters. So
and that's another benefit of Toastmasters is that you, especially for people who are we've done the introvert versus the extrovert, but people who may need a friend, right? Why don't you just come to Toastmasters and you'll at least get 5 friends. So
it's a great place to meet people of like mind.
Yeah. And I love it because of the fact that I work all day long. I work with women all day long. And sometimes we've been together for so long that we're family. So now it's time to branch out to other, get some new family members every now and then. Kind of spices up your life a little bit. But so I just wanted to share with you, I will share this page. the Toastmasters wears many hats. As I said, is that you are not alone when you do this. And right here on the Toastmasters page is Toastmasters wears many hats. And you see the English because we are Toastmasters International. So our information that we provide can come in different languages. And it just talks about the meeting roles, when you are a speaker, what you're supposed to do, when you're an evaluator, prior to the meeting, what you are required to do, when you are a timer, let's see, when you're a topics master, again, verify all your members and if they're ready to do topics. When you're a general evaluator, it'll tell you what you're supposed to do. When you're a Toastmaster, when you are the Toastmaster. So you are definitely not alone when you are taking on these roles, because again, Toastmasters has made it very easy to take these roles. I like this. I haven't even seen this word of the day. So there's a resource to get your word of the day. I was explaining to my members on Friday how I get the word of the day. When you're an counter, when you're an introducer, usually that's a different role. It's the Toastmaster for us. So I just wanted to pop that in. Ken does a really good job at showing PowerPoint presentations.
I think that when you're the introducer is like the Sergeant at Arms introducing the president is what they're talking about.
Oh, gotcha. All right. And then there's always resources, more resources. So you are not one to have to ask somebody or not be prepared. And that was one of the things when I said, when I first became a Toastmaster for Valley Voices and Vices, my first time, conducting the meeting, I had that already. So I wasn't afraid because it was step-by-step information. You don't have to do it alone. And then what's even more important to make it easy is that we'll have an agenda, right?
Right.
And the agenda, let me show you real quick what our agenda looks like. We do have a website and it's called Free Toast Toast. And see our Valley Voices and Vices. And then as a member, we will go on. I hope that I actually have my password today. Yay, it worked. And then another thing, Toastmasters makes our website easy, and it makes it easy to complete an agenda. Am I still sharing? No. You're on mute.
Now you are.
Now I am.
The one thing I like about the agenda, we're on Free Toast Toast, it's got the times for each role.
Yeah.
Yeah, how can you go wrong?
That's it right there, because you
My
look
dogs
at
are
it.
barking.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny, Jane, is that when I was when I first was with Valley Voices and Vices, I don't think we had this in Free Toast Toast. And we created our own agenda. And that was hard because it was in Word and it was tabs were all messed up. But look, all you have to do is insert the members' names. So here are the agenda with the time. And when you're a Toastmaster, you just check, so you know where you are. And then it gets to the point of the speakers. Even our evaluations are saved in Free Toast Toast. And we talk about our general evaluator, our timer, and then who returns. Look, it actually has returns conduct to the club president, step by step by step. So being a Toastmaster and being a part of this organization, it's kind of cool because it definitely guides you along to what the next step is. So any comments? Gene's looks like he's yelling at the dogs. So
A cleaning lady came in and the dogs are barking, and I'll just stay on mute.
yep, that's fine. Well, on that note, we do have just a couple of minutes, and I hope you learned something regarding being a Toastmaster. And again, I hope you pop into one of our meetings just to see if it really flows as easy as we say it does. And you get to learn and you get to meet new people. And if it's something that's not for you, maybe it's for the next person. Just a couple of announcements. Don't forget, we have our in-person TLI this week. Even if you're watching this as a guest, maybe you might want to see what we do in our TLIs and for education for our officer roles, just education in general. I am teaching about Vice President of Public Relations. And again, Toastmasters International has made it really easy that there's a slideshow, and then I give my 2 cents on what a Vice President of Public Relations should do. And I'm also going to talk about videos and using it in social media and why it's important, and just give you a couple of tips on how to edit, how to post, and how to share. So
I'll be there. I'll be set up with a laptop and helping people get on Meetup for their clubs,
yes,
and helping people with any free toast questions. So
yes, and Gene is the master of the Free Toast Toast. And
I set the Free Toast website up for Valley Voices and Vices. My first club, my very first club to set up with a website.
And I'm sure it has advanced so much more since you put that on there. And it's super slick. I really like it. So
it's not only that, but they gave you some instructions on how to do it. When I was doing it, it was right from the programmers.
I still don't think there's instructions. I think there's just people who have mastered it that will go along and show them the members, the next member. So, all right. And then tomorrow we have Ken and Phyllis again, and it's going to be exciting because July 1st is coming, and the guards are changing hands, and it'll be pretty exciting. I will still be your host on Wednesdays, but it sounds like maybe Scott and Phyllis on Thursdays coming up. So that'll be fun. And then, then Gene and Jean will still be on Mondays and Fridays. So, all right.
The fun never stops.
Yep. On that note, it's time to sign off, time to get to work. And you guys, it is Wednesday. Have a great Wednesday, and we will see you next week.